The first, step one, again, is the importance of regular practice time. And I'm not going to read what Swamiji says here. It's like everything he does, it's extremely well put. Sometimes it's said that enlightenment, the goal of life, can be described as transcending time, space, and causation. We all have some sense of time and of space. The one that's usually the confusing part of that three-part thing is causation. Causation simply means that it appears that this follows this, follows this, follows this. When our mind is thinking, whether we're working on a project or we're just daydreaming, there's this sequencing process in the mind. Something follows something, follows something, follows something, follows something. If we can break that cycle, of causation, we're free. If we can break that cycle of causation, you'll find yourself really in the now. And you'll find yourself here. It's commonly said, be in the now, right? Live in the present moment. How do you do it? How do you live in the present moment? I say that just to play with it because it's extremely difficult. Isn't it? There's a funny little thing that happens, and if I might borrow from another one of Swamiji's books, on page one of The Art of Joyful Living, Swamiji reveals the secret to this, where he says, essentially, if you can control space, you'll understand time. And you'll break the chain of causation. It's very, very common in the initial stages of meditation. Person says, these thoughts are driving me crazy. How do I get them to stop? And it's completely the wrong strategy. We don't know it, so we say, how do I get these thoughts to stop? Well, that's the causation part. It's this, then this, then this. This is what the mind does. It just goes on and on and on and on. So our first response is, how do I get this to stop? And it's not the solution. So then somebody says, well, live in the present. Oh, thank you very much, teacher. I'll go live in the present. But then after a while, you think something's wrong with me. Everybody else seems to be living in the present, and I seem to be going off in my thoughts into the past, and I seem to be projecting out in the future, and I can't get this to stop. Well, what just happened? You just fell into the same trap again. How do I break the chain of causation? And it doesn't work. Person after person after person has discovered that this strategy doesn't work. Swami Rama is telling us from the very beginning, that's not the way to do it. Don't try to break the chain of causation. If you can regulate space, then time will come racing behind, and the process of causation will collapse. If you look at his video lectures, a lot of them say this, but in one place, it's in the video lecture entitled, How to Tread the Path of Superconscious Meditation. He points out that one of the biggest things people make a mistake with their meditation is not bringing your attention into a space. So where do you put your attention in meditation? It's either in the navel chakra or the heart center, possibly the throat, or in the eyebrow center, or possibly awareness of the field of the breath at the nostril. If you put your attention on one of those spaces, this is a space. It may be called the cave of the heart. There's a little tiny circle up here. It's a space. This is a space where you feel the breath coming and going. This is a space. Try it. The simple practice of putting your attention in a space. If you even just pause for a moment right now and just put your attention in any one of these spaces, even for something like 5 or 10 seconds, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 breaths, and you allow your attention to rest in that space, notice for yourself what happens to the thoughts of the past and the projections of the future. It collapses, doesn't it? It just sort of goes away instantly. So there's no past, there's no future, there's no script going on in your mind, there's no train of thoughts, which is the chain of causation, and you're in the present. And the simple act is one of regulating space. And although I mentioned a different book than the one we're looking at, that was on page 1. But we don't see it. There's a habit of our mind that I can tell you one of the sneakiest place he tells us about this is in his book, Meditation and Its Practice. There's a chapter entitled A Program for Progress in Meditation. It's a beautifully written section. It does similar to this book. It walks you through what to do here, then here, then here, then here. And there's a section in there where he says, for those of you who are economy readers, his term, economy readers, and he actually had it put in quote marks, for those of you who are economy readers, you're probably going to read right through this and never practice it. God bless you, and may you one day travel the path of light. And I must have read through that myself 7 or 8 times before I finally noticed it. And I suddenly realized I have just done 7 or 8 times what he said here I was going to do. And that is read right through it and miss it and not really practice it. I was, like many people, waiting for the real practices. And he's put it in front of us, right in front of us. And Swamiji's pointed out for years, just as Patanjali did, that it's a systematic process. This, then this, then this, then this. And that's what he maps out in here. You know what that practice was that he said we weren't going to do? Breath awareness at the nostrils. Sushumna awakening. In this book, somewhere in here, he says something like that the entire process can be described in 3 stages. One is awakening Sushumna, or Sushumna application. Sushumna is that central stream of energy that flows from the base of the spine to the crown of the head in the subtle body, sometimes described as a thin, milky white stream. The barometer of Sushumna being awakened is that the left and right nostrils are both flowing freely. And when that happens, a thing happens to the mind called Sukhamana, which means the joyous mind. Why do you meditate? Most of us think that you meditate so that you can have a calm, quiet, joyous mind. It's backwards. You create a calm, joyous mind so that you can meditate. The calm, quiet, joyous mind is preparation for meditation. It's not the outcome of meditation. It's the preparation. And that whole process starts with having the importance of regular practice time and place. So in the ashram, that's easy. It's pretty easy because you have an early morning time. You can pick your own time, something like, 6 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, back to the importance of regular practice time. It starts by having a regular practice time. And if you have the time and you have the place, If you're talking about your own home, if you go and take a meditation retreat, and what do you want to do? You want to practice there where it's easy to develop times. I'm going to do my meditation at this time, and this time, and this time, and this time. And at a minimum, twice a day. But in the ashram where this is what you've come for, how do you spend the time? You want to use it for meditation. And there's, like I said, there's 4 natural times. And then choose a clock time that works to go with. So you go to that space. You go to that space at that time with the intent of following a systematic practice. That's the causation part. So if you regulate space and you regulate time and you regulate causation, the sequence of what you're going to do, it has a tendency to lead you past time, space, and causation. It doesn't mean you're going to go into samadhi this morning or tonight, but who knows? Maybe today's the day for enlightenment. You never know. Don't close the door to the possibility that this meditation may be the one that tops them all. Why not? Why not? But you're using time and space and causation. Okay?